We go into what we're going to talk about. So the title of this session is what I call it, mental-ish. Why did I call it mental-ish? Because the majority of us are dealing with some ish mentally in 2023. So 3 years ago, right, we was dealing with some mental ish because we were on a lockdown. We were on a lockdown because there was a pandemic. People was at home. People were not working. You guys were not in school. It was a very difficult time. And so all of a sudden, mental health became this topic of discussion. During this time, I used to travel back and forth to Vegas. I had a program for young teen girls, black girls. Some of you guys have the books that are on the table, Letters to a Young Queen. I wrote that book several years ago, and I did a program for some girls in Las Vegas. One of the girls that I worked with in my group during the pandemic got overwhelmed because in her mind, she felt that the pandemic was not going to be over. This is probably, I think the pandemic started like in March, and this is like late June, early July, I can't remember. 15 years old, her mother goes in the room one day, and again, I'm going to be very honest and transparent with y'all because y'all live in a real world. And you're sitting at a table with somebody that you, and I don't know how close you guys are, I don't know if you guys go to the same school or you guys just met, but you probably sit at the table with somebody who looks okay, but probably not okay internally. You sit at the table with somebody that has some makeup on, they got some eyelashes, their hair is there, dude got a dope cut, but really, they're not really doing good. Because you know why? You can't see depression. You can't see anxiety. You can't see suicidal thoughts. You can't see when somebody's being stressed out because things are not good at home and they feel all of this pressure on them. And when they get to school and they get in their social circles, some people can hold it together, some people can't hold it together. Some people lash out. Some people have outbursts. Some guys express it while they're playing sports. Some guys express it through anger, fights. Some girls are fighting. Because I've gone to schools, you know, before I was traveling the country speaking, I started off in schools and the girls was fighting more than some of these dudes. Some of these girls had hands and I'm just like, you guys might want to pipe down because she on one. And when the teachers would say, well, what's going on with these kids? I said, pain. Because we talk about everything but pain. Because we live in a society where we dress pain up. We go get the dopest shoes. We go get a haircut. We get our hair did. We do all these different things to dress the pain up. And on the inside, we're hurting. And the young lady, in late June, early July, I can't remember, I get a phone call, her mom walks in the room, and again, trigger warning, she's hanging. Because in her mind, what we were experiencing was never going to end. And do you know that right now, we're in one of the most highest suicidal epidemics that we've ever seen. And I grew up in the South where they used to say suicide was white people's stuff. But I would challenge you to say, no, it's people's human issue. Because your generation is addicted to sadness. Think about it. How many kids you really see have a good vibe, a good energy, a good spirit? All you gotta do is listen to the music. All the music is sad. Some dope artists out there, dope lyricists, but listen to the music. So how can you have a stable mental health? Think about that for a second. How can your mental health be stable if everything you put into your system is about how bad things are? How nobody wants me to make it, how everybody's against me, how she's hating on me, he's hating on me. How can you make it mentally, King? It's hard to make it in an environment where you feel everybody is against you. That causes a mental health crisis. So when you walk out of the house on your way to school, before you even get to school, you're burdened down with issues. If you start your day strolling in the morning, you might want to change your morning routine. Because if you want to increase your anxiety, start off on social media. Go in your comment section. Mental ish. It's real. So my question to you today is, how do you manage your mental health? And I want you guys to ask yourselves a question, because I'm going to ask you some of your questions. I like to be interactive. How do you manage? So, tell you a quick story. I grew up in Mississippi. I grew up in a family where we played ball. That's what you do. If you're born there, you play ball. My uncle played in the NFL. My cousin played in the NFL. My dad played ball. I come from a family of nothing but pro athletes. Uncle was a boxer. That's what you did. My parents divorced at 13. And I'm the only boy. And when I tell you, that thing shook me, because everything that I had in my idea of watching my dad was a pastor, he was a great athlete. I couldn't go nowhere in town, tell everybody, man, your dad was so this, your dad was so that. And I mean, it was dope. But then again, when my parents divorced, my dad was like, yeah, I'm divorcing your mom and y'all. And little Jay had no blueprint, no models, King. And let me tell you something, young kings, it's hard to become what you don't see. Right? It's hard. So what you do, you gravitate to whatever's close to you. When there is no model, you create a model. And the reality of it is we create dysfunctional models, right? We create models based off of what we see and what we hear. So for me, that model was like, dang, I'm mad at my dad. I got all this anger. I'm going to put this helmet on, and I'm going to just bury myself in the football. And that's what I did. Now, here's how I coped with the pain of the divorce. I became a cutter. Black kid cutting on myself. Self-harm. Because my mom moved us from one state to another state. So I didn't have a dad anymore. I didn't have anybody to look up to. And when you don't have nobody to look up to, you look around at everything that is close to you. And I can guarantee you, whatever you're looking at doesn't fit the picture that you had in mind. Mental health. I go to high school, play ball, go to college and play ball, not knowing that I was clinically depressed my entire adolescent years, because I didn't have anybody to talk to. I had sisters to help raise. So I was the oldest, so everybody looked to me. And when everybody's looking to you, who do you look to? Exactly. And nobody knew I was in this mental health issue, because I grew up with parents that was in the church, and the black folks, in their mind, we don't have mental health issues. And I'm like, we got all of them. That's okay. Played college ball, 4-year starter, depressed. I'm talking about I could have a great game, and I was a manic depressed because I would have extreme highs and extreme lows. I'm sure some of you know You ain't gotta raise your hand because they may be sitting at the table. You may know somebody that you say, oh my God, hey girl, what's going on? And then probably like an hour later, it's like they got an extreme down. It's like a change. It's like a switch. That's how I was. I could play a great game, and as soon as the game was over, I was depressed. And you know really why I was depressed? Because as long as I was playing ball, I was happy. And I was at peace. Because it was an escape for me. Some of you, by show of hands, how many of you listen to music to escape? Raise your hand high. And you listen to the music because part of listening to the music is to pull you out of the reality, right? So you don't have to really face reality, and you can get lost in somebody else's story. But here is what's dangerous about getting lost in somebody else's story. You start to live it and take it on as yours. I love Juice WRLD. I think he is one of the most dopest artists and lyricists and talent. I watched this documentary, but can I tell you, if you turn on a Juice WRLD song, as gifted and as talented as this kid was, you immediately become sad. I'm born and raised in Mississippi. I grew up around Louisiana, music, Texas. I love NBA YoungBoy, talented. But 9 times out of 10, woo, you put his music on, you feel what he feels. Because the lyrics are transferable, and if you're not careful, the lyrics become what you take on. This is why I tell young people all the time, listen, I love hip hop, but man, I can't put all of that in my ear. Because the moment it goes into your ear, it goes into your brain. And once it's in your brain, it starts rearranging your thought patterns. And you'll be surprised, a lot of the thoughts that you're thinking are not even your thoughts. And if you're dealing with any type of pain, those lyrics will perpetuate the pain that you're dealing with. So you become more disconnected. You become more withdrawn. And here's the first thing that comes to mind. Nobody cares about me. And there's that pain in your ear, which is a voice that says, why are you even living? You would be better if you weren't here. You're just a burden on the family. What do you have to offer? The voices. And nobody talks about that because everybody's talking about mental health, but I want to talk about real stuff. Voices. Because some of you are growing up in an environment where the only voice that you have as a reasonable voice is your own voice. Because it's challenging when you're growing up in a household with a parent who may have a mental health issue that is kind of oblivious to it. So now the child becomes the parent. And not only are you having to manage your own mental health, but you're having to manage the mental health of the entire household. And then they tell you, Key, show up to class, be present. Show up to class and be a good student. And you say, how in the hell do I be a good student? I got all this ish going on. How? So when the APA says, hey, I want you to talk to these kids, I said, oh, let's cook. Because this is a room full of black and brown students, and suicide is climbing. How many of you know, you can raise your hand if you feel comfortable, somebody that's taking their life? I want you to look around. Raise your hand high. I just want you to look around. Somebody that's taking their life. There's almost a hand
at every table. And most of the times, when individuals are struggling with suicidal ideation, it's the thought of suicide. What they're struggling with is the thought of their life is not worth anything. But what I'm here to tell you is that your life is worth everything. Going back to the story I started out telling you earlier about me being in football. I didn't get drafted. I was a free agent. I got to the league and got cut. Had to go play arena ball. We started off 0-5 losing. If you know anything about pro sport, they cut the players and then they started cutting the coaches. They started sending everybody to the house. And I didn't know how to deal with life with no football. Under that helmet, I was a monster. Outside of that helmet, I was just as insecure, just as scared as I want to be. So here's what happened. I found myself not attempting suicide once, but twice. And the second time was really difficult because I was trying to take myself out of here with a drug overdose, because when you play ball and play in professional sports, it's easy for guys to get addicted to pain medicine, because let me tell you something, when you're playing up against grown men with responsibilities, everybody can play on Sunday until you go up against a grown man that got to feed 5 kids, and he's trying to take your head off. Life looks a little different. So in order to be ready, you figure out a way. So I was taking pain meds. Anything I could do to not deal with it. What am I saying? Whatever you don't deal with in this season of your life, because most of you guys are high school students. How many seniors do we have? Juniors, sophomores, freshmen, 8th graders, 7. Well, I don't know, I'm asking, you know. Some of y'all look older than me. You know. It's none of my business. I didn't know. I'm teasing, it's a joke. I don't know nobody see. Their mental health is off because I said they look older than me. And because I didn't deal with the abandonment, the rejection, and all the stuff that my father, man, it's the whole, I don't even have enough time. My mom remarried. My stepfather was physically abusive. I was beat on. I mean, bro, this story goes on, and I just bottle this stuff in. Because as a little black boy, I was told, you better not be out here crying. You better not be out here talking about how you feel. Because we all know, if you're growing up in adverse communities, you don't tell how you feel, because part of not telling how you feel is how you survive. Because to be vulnerable means that, hey, you're going to get took. And what this event is about today is getting you to a place where you can begin to advocate for yourself. Where you can get to a place where you can say, hey, I can't take that on. Like, you can't call me with your problem. I'm a therapist, and you know, I do all type of dope stuff, but it's just like my friends, I'm not a therapist to my friends. And you gotta learn how to, write this down. And I want you to use the word I have to learn how to set boundaries. Stop taking on people's problems. Some of y'all take on people's problems just to stay in the friendship circle. Stop taking on everybody's problems. Number 2, how are you managing your mental health? That's what you need to be able to, you need to walk away today with, how am I going to manage my mental health better? Number 3, find friends that support the mental health that you want. If you're around somebody that's constantly draining, constantly telling you what somebody said on, like, I don't want to hear what's going on Threads. That's a new app. Everybody's like, you on Threads? I said, listen, all I can do right now is Instagram. Twitter is too much. Like, it's always something pulling you. A few years ago, it was Snapchat. Now it's TikTok. I got nieces and nephews. I'm like, listen, man, y'all need to choose. Uncle JJ, can you follow me on TikTok? I'm gonna follow you, baby, but I ain't gonna sit up and watch these videos all day. I got stuff to do. But it's always something that's pulling you. And you gotta monitor your time on social media. Some of you, that's all you have within you. That if Mr. Gabriel came and asked you after this, what did you take from today's thing? You should be able to articulate that I took the day that I need to take my mental health serious. Because can I tell you something? My godmother found me under the bed after I had overdosed. And I know it's a real blessing and it's divinely that I'm here, because there's a lot of people who's attempted and they succeeded. And let me tell you something. If you ever go to a funeral of a young person who's taken their life and you stand in that casket, what you realize is this is final. There are no do-overs. And what I realize is that, you know what? I got another chance at this, and this is why I'm passionate about what I do for young people. Mental health, guys, is how you do it every day. How do you do your life every day? Some of you got sports, some of you got your friendship circle, some of you got social media, some of you got family members that support you, but you gotta find somebody that supports your mental health. Meaning, what does that look like for you? Is it a stable environment? Is it supportive? Does it match your morals, your standards, your values? Is this landing today? I'm gonna go to the audience. Good brother, how you doing today? Good. How you holding up? Is this good today? Are you listening, learning something? What you learning?
Like you said, like to take more awareness on mental health, focus on myself.
Said focus on yourself a little bit more. How many of you need to focus on yourself a little bit more? Be honest. Be honest. You seniors that are here, you really got to focus on your mental health. Because it's extreme anxiety to try to think about what's next in the future. You become extremely anxious when you're trying to figure out what's next. How many of you are athletes in here? All right, I'm not gonna say nothing, because I used to train athletes and all that. Some of you got your hands up and I'm questioning. How many of you eat like athletes? Meaning you eat clean. I'm not talking about burgers. Yeah. Huh? Depends on the day. What do you play? What do you play? Okay. Are you fast? A little bit? Can you get faster? Okay. What about your mental health? What about your grades? Yeah. What's your goals? You about to go to college when? This fall? Huh? In some days. Okay, where you going? Yeah. Okay. All right. Are you gonna play ball there? All right. What's your plan? You going in as a freshman? What's your plan? Yeah, like what's your plan? I know everybody wants to go in and play, but what's your plan or your strategy?
I'm good with this. No problem.
Okay, you a dog? Yeah, you know, I'm gonna have to challenge you on that, because Most dogs don't say they dogs. I'm just saying, good brother. I'm not challenging. You know, this is healthy. So I'm gonna just give you a little point. As you enter and to stabilize your mental health, who else is going to college and play sports this fall? Take this with you. There's a lot of guys, a lot of female athletes that's enter college sports, and within the first semester, most people go home because it's a job. It's a job. You're on scholarship. How you maintain your mental health and sustain your mental health, create a strategy that works for you. Meaning that if you're going into an environment that's new, fill it out. The worst thing you can do is go in with this, go in and fill it out. Go in and fill it out. That way, when you go in, you're not overwhelmed. You don't have the anxiety of what you have to do. Is fill it out first. And you can use that method with anything that you're doing. Fill everything out. Fill it out, and then you make adjustments from there. Most of us bring on so much anxiety because we're sitting here so consumed about the what ifs. The only thing that you have the control over is the what is. And that is reality. Well, I'm gonna look your film up. Yeah, look your film up. Huh? Okay, yeah, talk to me after this. Yeah, I'll give you some pointers. Yeah, 'cause I want to see you do well. I want to see all of you do well. All right, I got one question, and 2 or 3 people could answer this. What is your biggest challenge right now as a teenager mentally? Say it again. He said getting off on the wrong track. Somebody else, give me something, give me one more. Yes. Anxiety. Can you speak a little louder for me, please?
I'm afraid to do something. I'm not
Yeah, afraid to change. That's a good one. Someone else, what's your biggest challenge right now today mentally? Yes, sir. Oh, right. Understanding your feelings. That's a good one. One more. Yes. Discipline. Society. Ooh, that's what I was waiting on. Ooh, because man, it's society, boy. It's a lot of pressure out here. It's like, man, I gotta have a blue check and followers. Ooh. Man, I gotta have a fresh haircut every day. I gotta have this, what y'all call it? Y'all don't, the girls, y'all don't call it units. What y'all call it?
Dirty inch button down.
No, it's another word that they call it.
Button down.
Huh?
Yeah,
I know the frontals.
A button down.
Lace front. Are they still doing lace fronts? Yeah, they doing closures now, right? Yeah, they doing closures. Let me tell you something. Y'all, what y'all need to be doing is getting this hair business. Hair business and cosmetics is where it's at. Had I known years ago when somebody asked me about wigs, investing, I just put all my money there because, woo, these frontals and closures and lace fronts and wigs and new sets and whatever. You know, the only reason I know is because I used to mentor girls and they used to come in and talk about the frontals and, you know, this and that. And I never forget this girl got into it about one girl had bundles and she felt that the bundles weren't real. And I just interjected and I said, well, yeah, technically none of it's real, but she was talking about $250 versus $100. Her baby hair was fake and all of this. And I was just like, that's really what we're doing today? And believe it or not, the mental health was in an uproar and they was getting ready about to fight over bundles. And I'm like, this is a real issue. And the guys in the room just like, you know, all the guys are confused. But it's things like that that has your mental health unstable. And I'm going to close with this. Until you set your own standards, you'll always be moved by societal standards. Until you set your own standards, you'll always be moved by societal standards. Number two, until you make your mental health a priority, your mental health will always be in the hands of something else or something or someone around you. And number three, you're not a savior. And what do I mean by that? For some of you guys, I know you have NBA, NFL aspirations, all of those things. It's a blessing if you get to that level. But let me lighten your load. You do not have to save the family. Young ladies, you don't have to take care of everybody. Being a nurturer doesn't mean you take care of everybody. Put yourselves first. If you start now, that's a boundary. Because some of you are being mamas, some of you are being daddies, some of you are being big brothers, big sisters, and you're taking on a load. And that's heavy. So when you sit down and do your work, your mind is not really clear on what you need to be thinking about. So in closing, did you guys learn something today? I wanted to kind of go heavy, but then lighten it up. Did you guys learn something today?
Yes, sir.
You guys clap? Did you learn something today? So, as you guys leave here, I don't know what's next, but would you guys please thank Gabriel? Raise your hand, Gabriel. Dr. James, raise your hand. Veronica, raise your hand. And these are three people that I know. If there's other persons that are part of this that I haven't met, please forgive me. The reason why I'm asking them to raise their hand, if you pass them today, stop and shake their hand and say thank you. You know why? Because they care enough that you guys get to support the resources and to have somebody like myself come and talk to you and share with you. I work with a lot of celebrities, a lot of artists, a lot of entertainers. As a therapist, I do a lot of dope stuff. But you know what I see so much is that, as I know some of you are aspiring to the people you see, but you know what I often tell these people? I wish these kids got a chance to peek into your life so what they could see what they're wanting to have. Because it's one thing to have money, but then it's another thing to have a peace of mind. It's one thing to have the fame, the notoriety, the popularity. But then again, my question is, do you know you? Yeah, a lot of people know you, but do you know you? Can you sit with you? Because oftentimes we're thinking, man, if I could just get this bag, man, if I could just be like her, if I could just be like him, everything, and really, it's just a matter of you connecting with yourself and connecting with your mental health and saying, how can I be a better person for me? When I survived and came out of that thing, all I was trying to figure out, how can I change my life? And once I changed my life, then I started thinking about, how can I change other people's lives? Because there was no black folks coming to talk to us about suicide and depression. We had white people coming in there talking, and again, there was no relatability. So you had somebody to come to you today to share, I've been at the highest of the highs of success, but I've also been at the lowest, because you could have never looked at me with that helmet on and saw that I had so much pain inwardly. So as you're moving about today, please stop and say thank you to those persons. And secondly, as you're moving through the day, consider those around you Get to know that person sitting next to you. Talk to them. Maybe there's something that you can say that can help them see life differently. And let me tell you something. Your life matters. Every time I get on stage and talk, I think about, had I succeeded, I would have missed all of this. I'm not gonna say the rapper's name, but we talk often in DMs and stuff, and he watches my videos, and he always like, bro, thank you for being a black man talking about mental health and being a black man sharing your story. I get to connect with some dope people that says, man, thank you for making mental health normal. Because we're at this height of success, but we have nobody to talk to. Believe it or not, them celebrities have nobody to talk to. Them rappers have nobody to, trust me, they have nobody to talk to. Just think all of a sudden your life made it, you got all this money, all this fame, and everybody that was around you was only around you because of what you got. And just think how your mental health is always concerned about, are people around me real? So stay tapped into your own light, stay tapped into your own circle. Thank you guys for giving me your undivided attention. I hope something that I said today resonated with you, that you know that your life is valuable, that your life means something, and that you have purpose, and that your mental health should and always be a priority. Thank you guys.